go to actually our little dashboard here and make sure that we're actually going live. But for those of you who might be able to see us already, welcome to the Game Dev Cafe. I am very excited to talk to you today. My name's Karina. I'm the editor, Twitch host. I do a whole bunch of other things. But today I am joined by two indie devs who I think are probably known to you, and if they aren't now, they will be in the very near future. As you can see up here on my little screen, I've got Mr. Mike Mood. He is, I know, from Canada for a fact, and I believe his lovely wife is as well. You guys are sort of based Ottawa area, but traveling all over. And I'm also joined by theMeatly. And theMeatly, if you don't know what theMeatly is, I just suggest giving him a Google. Honestly, it'll sort of be self-explanatory from there on. But really funny creator, lots of witty content, but as it turns out, also a very talented game dev. Now, I was very lucky to sort of meet actually Mike in person at a recent conference, and that's sort of how this interview came about. But this is something that we're going to be doing a little bit more on Game Dev Cafe, talking to the devs behind some of the games that we've tried and loved or are eagerly awaiting for. And in this case, it's actually kind of both. So Mike and theMeatly, welcome, and thank you so much for coming and for doing this with us. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, doing good here. Mike, it's kind of funny. You're a Canadian, and apparently I'm a brilliant game developer. That's great.
just the most important facts.
Just in your face, I just want to say. But yes,
Not
obviously
that Canadians can't be, but yes, yes.
of course, people who know my channel or whatever at this point know that I'm a game developer, I'm a gamer, I'm a puppet, I'm a million things all at once. I kind of do game development comics, and now, of course, most known for being creator of BENDY Machine along with Mike Mood up there. So kind of all over the place. I know he's Canadian based, I'm American based, so kind of this whole international vibe going. It's kind of cool. So that's me. How about you, Mike?
I like how you say kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. Not always cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I am primarily a programmer, but I'm just a all-round game developer. I started making games about 3 years ago. I taught myself everything I know, basically through Google. And if anybody wants to be a game dev, that's what I will say: is just Google your way to being a game dev. Don't waste your money on education.
Stay in school, kids. Not really.
But only if you want to waste your money.
Finish high school, but don't waste your money on being a game dev.
What a responsible answer. And thanks for you guys for letting me know the volume was a little down. Hopefully we fix it now. Actually, Mike, to your point, not that I want to go off track, but we do have a lot of different resources on Game Dev Cafe, but many of them are not academic or what people might typically expect to see when you pay for a course. There's a lot of great game development resourcing out there made by people who make games. In many cases, people who, like yourself, have just a passion for learning things on their own. And as you say, using the almighty Google. So, I think that's really great advice. I guess, before we even begin, I know that we've got a lot of people sort of hitting us up in the chat today. So just bear in mind, we've only got Mike and theMeatly for a very short period of time, such as indie life. Work. I know you guys are sort of traveling, probably just back from E3, I imagine. So we will jump into this interview. If you have extra questions, I know I've been asked many times if they can ask them today. Please just post them in the channel or shoot them at us. We will collect them, get around to them when we can. But off the bat, we've got some, I guess, important stuff to talk about, both with respect to your game dev, but also your game, Bendy and the Ink Machine, which is sort of, how I came to be so excited to talk to you. I know of you guys as game devs, but this game has really been doing something amazing in terms of the indie scene. So I guess, just to start off, I know where you guys are individually from, and obviously you've been at this for a while, but how did you come to work together? Is this something that you guys have been working on for a long time, or is this sort of more recent, or how did that come about?
That's interesting, actually. It's a complete accident, really. I became a game developer just a little over 3 years ago. I left my career doing IT. Someone said in the chat earlier, did you try turning it off and on again? That was my career for 7 years, and I couldn't stand it, so I left that career. And my mom said, "Hey, you should make games." So I was like, "All right, cool." So,
Fair
so I
enough.
started teaching myself how to make video games, and I saw theMeatly on Twitter, his game dev comics, and I related to them very much so. And he had one which was about the idea fairy, and at that point in time, I was going through prototype after prototype after prototype. I made like 100 of them. And it was always like, I'd get to one point and then the idea fairy would kick in and I would just try another game, right? So I loved that comic and it was great. So I started following him. And I don't even know how it happened, but we started just like tweeting at each other. And then next thing you know, we started theMeatly Games. It was like 3 years ago. And since then, like we like internally together, we've made a ton of games. Mostly are like either pre-production or mid-production. And, you know, just toying around with ideas. And
The
that's
idea
kind of
fairy
how.
biting. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The idea fairy is always with us. It's been very difficult. It's been very difficult with Bendy and the Ink Machine with the idea fairy kicking around.
And has it been 3 years, you said, since that idea was sort of first tabled, or?
Bendy and the Ink Machine?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no. That I'll let theMeatly talk about that. That was a complete accident.
Oh no, for me, I mean, I was a gamer for years growing up. I mean, Super Nintendo is kind of where I started at, and I just love video games and love playing them. And it's my typical Saturday afternoons. You know, when I wasn't playing outside, I was inside. But I used to get like slideshow programs and try my games out of that. And this is back in the days where computers still had just blue screens. And just as I kept going, I'm like, you know, this is actually kind of fun. I could do kind of some of this and keep doing it. But then I got to the point in my life where it's like, okay, do you be a game developer and, you know, not actually make it in real life at that time, but that time where you get a real job, you know? So at that point, you know, there wasn't no giant, you know, video game industry as we know it. So basically what I did is I went into just design because I'm, you know, obviously artist, art background, and I just went into marketing. And that was the most unglorious thing I've ever done. I did that for quite a few years there, and it was so boring and so terrible. And I started just doing game development at night. Actually, the game I was playing at the time I started game development again was actually Dead Space 2.
Oh, nice.
Because I realized that, you know, hey, that's actually a really cool spot there. I could make somebody. I started looking at the textures and how things were done. I'm like, where has game development gone from the indie side, you know, since I left it a few years ago? And I originally started doing mobile games for the iPhone and all things back in the day, back in the Angry Birds days when it was still somewhat a market. Then after time, I realized that it's not much of a market. And that it's just, that's where the Meatly comics really started to come from those frustrations of constantly staying up for night after night, working on things, learning how to do things. I'm totally self-taught as a game developer. So I've never actually spent time going to college for any of this either, but sorry, I can't recommend that either, guys.
Hey, it works for some people. I mean, clearly.
Yes, I've seen some very brilliant people who've come from education backgrounds in game development. So it's how you want to do it.
From everything that theMeatly just said, if people were paying attention, he aged us terribly.
Oh, gosh.
I was just going to say, I'm not going to sort of chime in too much with how much I agree with it. But yes, old computers, blue screens. Actually, I come from a marketing background too. So it's funny how you find your way through maybe what fits your skill set and then eventually make your way back to what you love doing.
Oh, absolutely.
I dare say.
And I did enemy stuff too. So it's kind of like one of those things that, hey, it all kind of fit together.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice when things fall into place, and I guess you can channel them towards your passion. So is this now full-time for you? Is that sort of safe to say? Because you guys have sort of taken off a little bit. And
100% full-time. I mean, theMeatly quit his job.
The horrible marketing job.
I bet that felt good.
Yeah.
Was there like an awesome quitting story, or was it just, you know, sort of professional bridge intact?
Well, my boss wasn't quite aware of who I am, or still has no idea what I do, or so he was giving me last minute advice about, you know, well, you know, when you're working at Burger King and you can't get a job because, you know, just so you know, I know you can't make it on your own, kid.
Oh,
so
lovely.
it was so supportive. So, you know, I just kind of like left with a smile on my face knowing, you know what, I am enjoying what I'm doing. I get to actually spend time and stay up till 2 a.m. if I want to and really get just one texture just right the way I want. So no epic quitting story, but he deserved one, but I didn't do it.
Oh, that's that's still a good feeling that you were left with, though, and you get to take the high ground.
When theMeatly left, I was super happy when he left his job because like you could immediately tell the difference. Mm-hmm. Like he was just so pumped to work on everything because like that was his job, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was a big difference. So yeah, this is our full-time thing. Technically, I still have a side gig, like contractually. But the guys that I was doing contract work for are amazing, and they saw the success of Bendy, and they said, it's fine. Like,
Awesome.
we'll make things work. And I told them I'd still work with them, and I did for a good month or two. I did hours here and there every week, and it came to a point where they just stopped giving me work because they saw where this was going. But it is indeed a full-time gig, to the point where we theMeatly Games as a company has employees, like actual full-time employees that we hired. So this is most definitely our jobs and our livelihood at this point.
Well, lucky for us. I mean, we're kind of, we almost missed out on having you guys make games for us, right? theMeatly still could be in marketing somewhere, and you could be fully contracted. So that's
the thing, though. That's the thing, because you talked about the idea of Bendy. Like, we were still in the middle of another game we were making, completely different, and we still had our jobs, and it was like a side gig, and we were working really hard. We contracted people to help us out, and it was a big game. It still is a big game. At some point, we'd love to make that game. And then, of course, theMeatly had this idea, and kind of through the Bendy and the Ink Machine demo, he just kind of had a brainstorm, came up with this concept. He'll probably say, "Oh, it took me this long," but I know it took him no time to do it. It's like a weekend. He's like, "Oh, I'm just going to do this," and he did it. And it was a complete accident. It wasn't what we were intending to do. He just wanted to kind of toy around with a concept that he had in his mind, and then Bendy was born. And I would let him tell all that story, because he's the one that had the typo of Bendy, which created the name. So.
Oh, really?
I was working with a Blender file at the time, and I have one of those dumb computers that when it hiccups when you're writing something, it jumps back several letters. So I was just typing in, I think, doing an early model of Bendy, and I typed in, I think it was monster.blend, but for some reason all in the computer, and I was stuck with bendy.blend. I pressed enter. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And I was never expecting to be a big game, any sense, or a big word I'd have to worry about, and I just stuck with it because it just never changed our production. So
yep.
Now that's an important point, I think, that it didn't change your production, because it's nice when those ideas strike, but you don't always have the freedom to explore them, or I guess the luxury of of getting them out there. Was this a game that ended up becoming more than you thought it would be? Did it get bigger than its britches, so to speak?
Oh gosh, it is so huge. It's so gigantic. Yeah. Are we millionaires? No. Oh gosh.
But one day, maybe.
I wish we should, at some point, we should take a picture of what theMeatly's office looks like.
Typical indie dev, I'm sure. Yeah.
Snack tray. I'm on a snack tray here. I got a folding metal chair. There's nothing else in the room except a bag, and that's it. One room apartment kind of thing. And it's and how's those millions? I don't know. How you doing?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Hear that, kids? This is the indie dev life. Yes. At least in the beginning.
Our employees make more than we do, so.
Spoken like a good boss, though, right? Now, I think that part of that is because you did opt to make the first chapter, sort of free, which is amazing. That gets a lot of exposure, and hopefully now that the community is intact. I guess, before we get into talking about the game and the community a little bit more, how do your roles differ? Because I know that you're both sort of game developers, and obviously you have some artistic background, but on this game itself, how did you guys sort of collaborate? What were the roles?
Well,
good.
Yeah, so kind of the whole team, everybody that we have involved could kind of do everything.
Oh, okay, cool.
And that's kind of the point of what we do. So the original prototype, demo of Bendy and the Ink Machine was 100% done by theMeatly.
Okay.
Even the coding and everything. And he's not a coder, I can tell you that.
You can call it coding. It worked. That's all I can tell you.
It definitely works. But that's not his strong suit. His strong suit is, a million other things in the creative world. My strong suit is programming. However, I can also do all of the other things: 3D modeling, animating, music, sound, all that stuff I can also do. But other people are better at it, so we give them those tasks, right? One of the guys that we just brought on board, his name is Matt Goals. He is he's basically myself and theMeatly kind of combined.
Oh, nice.
He can do everything that we can do. So it's pretty nice to have a team that can basically do everything, and anyone could pick up the slack. It's an important thing, but we do have like roles, right? Like I am the programmer. That's basically what I do, but I could do other things if somebody needed help.
To hand off, that's nice. And then is the artwork then theMeatly? Are you sort of responsible for the look of the game, or did you guys have a concept artist work with you, or?
He is the concept artist.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the most definitive sort of thing of the game for me.
Yeah, no, the art is all my side. I do all the textures hand done. I do work with our 3D modeler to create I kind of create concepts for him, then we kind of flush them out together. So I create all the character designs. I do all the voice casting and the scripting and the story writing, and I kind of go through and write how the game's going to kind of play out. And me and Mike look at it, and we kind of what can work, what can't work, and we kind of make it work a lot better. I mean, with the original demo. It was very simplistic, but going forward, nothing else has ever been that simplistic.
Oh, no.
But I remember one time, as soon as I handed over to him, I'm like, okay, just so you know, my code's a little bit messy. And he was telling me, oh, I've been seeing code for years. Can't be that bad. So we're talking on Skype. He opens it up. It was a major problem at that point.
It was bad. It was bad.
Well, you warned him. Fair warning.
I tried. So he's like, I'm amazed that it works. It's an awesome demo, but let me fix up.
Again, like it was amazing that he was able to pull it to like get everything that he wanted in there. But if we would have released that demo, there's no chance that people would have been able to play it because it only worked on a good computer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Primarily because there was zero optimization. It was just
in other words, an artist was, making it work.
Yeah, basically. So my job with chapter 1 basically was like optimize everything, start from scratch and make it work on a toaster, basically. I did the best I could, but still people have ancient computers that I didn't think existed anymore still, but it is what it is.
Now, is it for all platforms right now? Do you guys have it for Windows, OS? Is it available for OS?
It's available for Windows, Linux, and Mac.
Linux, Mac, perfect. All right, awesome. So the optimization must have gone well.
Good. The funny part is, for one little story our fans don't usually know is for chapter 2, the night before the game pretty much broke. It was done. It was just like there was like 5 hours where we were not releasing chapter 2. It was just you'd press play, it wouldn't start, or it would just pause halfway through, and we just didn't know.
Oh my god!
So at that point, we're walking around the room, we're like shaking our heads, being like, "We can't do this. We gotta do something." Fortunately, Mike pulled out the fire the last minute. I don't know. It's like 11 o'clock at night, the night before. I'm pacing around my house because at this point he's written a system that I really can't get involved in at that point. Yeah. So it's up to him. There's no other way to do it. So suddenly I get this text message. I'm sitting there sweating. I get this text message. Wait, I have an idea. Unfortunately, by 11:30, it was fixed. So, most stressful moment though. But again, Mike pulling out of the fire there is just we're one of these teams where we're both very, very necessary.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We need each other.
Yeah, we absolutely 100% need each other. Otherwise, like this game just wouldn't have happened. Even though it was a fluke, it was an accident. We're just like, hey, let's release this game for fun. And people loved it. It couldn't have been done without us working together, for sure.
Awesome. That's why you hire experts too, so that when those fires do pop up, or the optimization's not perfect, you pool your resources. I think it's impressive, given that I know that you had some outside help, like this was a collective effort, but given that you're sort of a small management team, that you guys were able to pull this off while other things were happening on the side. Yep. Did you have any particular sort of inspiration for the game? Like, were you guys, I really want to make this, for example, theMeatly, this sort of aesthetic? Were you really like dying to make a game that looked like that? Or was the horror genre maybe something that you guys want to play in? Maybe you just like scaring yourselves?
I don't know where it came from, because the original concept, I was just playing around with environments and different ways of doing different shaders with Unity and a few other things too. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to think, okay, what is it like to walk through a sketch? And that was kind of the whole idea where that came from. I just want to see some drawn lines, do some different ideas of how it would work with the camera and some different focal distances. And I was doing some just very early drafts with that. And originally it was all what's called matte, when there's no shading. Mm-hmm. And so it was just all like the flat yellow colors, black lines. So you're literally walking through a sketch and there was no actual shading. So then I threw in a light, and it just changed the entire atmosphere. It totally got really dark except for one corner, and all the highlights kind of lit up. Like, hey, this might be something.
Ooh,
So I started, suddenly got creepy. So I started just making a whole environment out of that system, and it all started to piece itself together as I was working. I'm like, okay, what would be scary? Well, obviously it'd be a drawn monster. There'd be a cartoon monster. And so I start to piece things together, and I was like, okay, something kind of cutish, because that's kind of off-putting. So I did Bendy's design probably in about, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes.
Wow.
And stuck him in there.
Nail on head, click. Awesome.
And there it was. So, and then it just came out of nowhere. And again, it was more supposed to be just a demo of just an idea, what we could do. And no idea it was going to get to this kind of thing. But there we go.
What a cool organic process. Yeah.
One of the last minute things that we actually did to the game too is originally it was called Bendy and the Ink Machine demo. And at the last, I don't know, day or so before, we made the decision, let's call it chapter 1. Because if people miraculously like our game, we can continue it. And that was probably the best decision we made.
Yeah, very smart. Oh, that's really genius. It's funny how a game that came about kind of organically had an unintentional or maybe last minute really clever marketing hook, if you don't mind my saying so. Because I know as someone who, I had already become familiar with Bendy before I played the game, just through the fan art and everything else. It is interesting to think that could have been it. That could have been the end of it, or you sort of let, I guess, the crowd demand. And I mean, you guys can probably see if you're on our Twitch right now, there's a lot of people chatting, which is so awesome. That's one of my favorite things about this game is how many people recognize it and support it. And it even goes beyond the Meatly comics, which are, as you said, sort of very game dev life centric, and this goes into the fandom that I think exists around these types of games. Yeah. I love it. I love creepy, weird, the whole take something cute and put it in a weird environment, that disconnect. I love that kind of stuff. So I eat it up. No explanation needed, but I think it is neat how many people it appeals to and how many different age groups it appeals to as well. You mentioned Unity and working with some different tools. Were there any special pieces of software or anything that you guys used to bring this to life that were really either new to you or something that you might sort of recommend people check out?
What do you think, Mike?
I mean, originally we use all the basics, right? Like Blender for 3D modeling, Unity to make the game, Audacity to mix around sounds and stuff like that. I don't know. What did you use for music?
Music is I was typing around first in GarageBand and moved to Logic Pro by the end. So
nice.
Just the basic stuff.
Yeah, we use the basic just to get things going. But now the person, so Pascal is our 3D art director. We brought him on board for chapter 2. He's the one who actually took the Meatly's concepts of all the characters and then brought them to life, right, cool. in 3D. We hired him as our director after release because we needed that talent. But he uses 3ds Max and stuff like that.
Cool. Okay.
So
you guys kind of grew beyond the simple tools.
Yeah, we're upgrading, to the point where we have to, because Blender can't do the things that we need anymore.
It is exciting to know that that's how the demo was created, though. There's a lot of, obviously at Game Dev Cafe, we get a lot of indie devs asking us, how can we start toying around with this? And, you guys are kind of living proof that you don't need to jump
we
into
used
a
everything.
Program or
everything was free.
Yeah.
Every tool we used was free. Our education was free, thanks to
thanks to several years of no friends. It was absolutely free.
Don't sell yourself short. There was a cost, but maybe not monetary. Sweat, tears, passion. I mean, I think it shows in the game coming to life the way that it does, though, that you guys, again, sort of put in a lot of your own energy, even if it wasn't sort of a financial cost.
Where a lot of it comes from too is that kind of like you were saying a moment ago too, is that we just the fan base that came out of nowhere that we didn't see coming, had no idea was coming, and now we've don't want to let them down. We want that we enjoy so much we get to talk to them and go out there and they're playing my game. Holy crap! It's exciting. It's still exciting. Every time I see a new Let's Play video, I watch dozens upon dozens. I always have some playing while I'm working, and
nice.
It's so cool to see. So just knowing that people enjoy what we do and we want to work harder and get better tools that we can do it better, it plays into it so nicely. It's just so much fun to actually be able to know that someone's going to look at this when we're done and hopefully appreciate that we made it for them and we had them in mind when we did it. So
yeah,
it's all a little bit.
That's, I mean, because of the fans, our game is having like a huge update. Like chapter 1, chapter 2, and even chapter 3 are going to be better than ever. Because like, you know, when the game became popular and people liked it, like theMeatly and I had to sit down and be like, okay, what's the story, right? Like, what is the whole point? And so we had the story and we continue to build on the story. But what exists right now in chapter 1 and 2 isn't the original, like, that's not the original vision, right?
Okay.
We made that in 6 weeks. Chapter 1 and 2 from scratch was made in 6 weeks. That's like no time to do anything, right?
Very short
So
timeline.
we had to cut a lot. So we're trying to go back, update with the new people we brought on board. Fantastic stuff coming, and chapter 3 is mind blowing.
No expectations created. It's
I was just gonna say,
it's mind blowing.
There's a lot to live up to when you have, as you say, that big fan base. But I do know from going from chapter 1 to 2, I mean, you can see the progression, and you know, now that I've heard a little bit more about how you're building out the team and sort of how the game is picking up momentum, that's really exciting. Do you expect there to be like a certain number of chapters, or are you going to wait and see, or how defined is this Bendy and the Ink Machine game going to be?
Well, we're kind of lucky in that sense, only because usually when I come up with a random idea, like I always do, I do many prototypes all the time. I always know kind of the whole thing of that I would like to do if something actually worked, and in this case it did. So fortunately, I happen to have a nice, expansion idea of what it was all going to be. But no, we're definitely going to do 5 chapters. 5 is the definitive number.
Awesome.
So it'll be 5. So by the end of 5, things will hopefully make sense to some people, and things will work out nicely. And there'll be no need for theories anymore because they'll all just be out there. But there'll still be plenty to talk about.
That's part of the fun, not knowing what's coming.
There may be there may not be more like theories once the game is done, but people are going to go back and be like, wait a minute, I'm still confused. It's a big step.
You'll have fan spin-offs at that point, and subsidy deals, all kinds of fun stuff. So 5 chapters. Okay, so obviously everyone wants them now or yesterday, especially if you tried the game. You're kind of excited.
The day we released chapter 2, we had people asking when chapter 3 was coming out. So
do you have a release date for chapter 3? Is there?
Yeah, we most definitely do.
Awesome. But not that you're going to tell me, right?
I'm not going to tell you what it is. But...
Don't want to put too much pressure on the dev team. So it's coming, but we can be assured that it's coming. So as you say, we're not going to be left in the dark, alone, terrified forever.
We can count beyond 3.
Oh,
we have the technology.
You can do it.
We can do it.
You have the power. I mean, I definitely think the demand is not only there in terms of the fan base, but I know that you guys started with a free game, and then the next game had a cost associated with it. So I feel like the game bears that out. I'm not trying to say anything about chapter 2 so that I don't give any spoilers away. I did a stream through of chapter 1. People are welcome to watch it. I recommend you go play it for yourself because it's that kind of game. But once you play through chapter 2, I feel very strongly that the appeal is sort of cemented and in place as you just want to keep going. So you guys have really built something unique in that sense. I play a lot of games, so it's hard to do that. Did you find anything particularly hard about making the game? I mean, you mentioned, immediately you mentioned that you had a vision sort of all along for what the story would be, and obviously you guys are expanding your team, so, check, but what's sort of been a big challenge for you? If anything.
So, everything's a challenge, but for me, most of us on the team, we've taken that approach of, some people will work in bigger corporations or, bigger game studios and stuff like that, or have somebody above them, right? And they'll say, hey, I want you to do this. And then as the person that's doing it, they'll say, oh, you just can't do that. It doesn't, Unity won't let you do that. We have a different approach, right? Our approach is, yeah, you can do that. We have never said that, oh, we can't do this. If Unity doesn't allow you to do a specific thing, find a way around it and make it work. So the challenge was just meeting our own expectations, which we're able to do because we work really, really hard. But the biggest would be the timeline. we were like, I'm going to outright and say it. We were stupid with chapter 2. we put this weird timeline for no other reason than here's a good date. And we gave ourselves 6 weeks, and
Ambitious.
it was 24/7. Like
Okay.
it was the worst experience. I mean, if we didn't have fans, there's no way we'd have just been like, whatever, screw it.
But we promise, so we try to do every time we actually say something definitively to make sure we meet that.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of pressure.
We almost died. I was so sick for a lot of it too. We were staying till like 3, 4 in the morning for weeks on end, getting just sleep when we could. But
it was brutal. So we're not doing that. That's why we brought on team members.
Smart.
That is specifically why we're not saying a date until we absolutely can ensure. We know when we want to release. Yeah, like we know when we want to release this game. We absolutely know, but we don't want to say anything, because I remember when I was just a gamer, right, and I was nowhere in the game dev scene, and someone would be like, "Oh, a game's coming out February 2nd," and then it's like a month to it, and they're like, "Oh, we got to delay it 6 months." And I'm like, "No!" Yeah. So I don't want to do that to fans. I'm just gonna wait until we're ready, and then we'll announce.
That's true. We gotta make sure it's the right. Gotta make sure it's the right thing, because like he said, we both been gamers. We both know that. We know what really makes us upset when a gaming company does it, or does it to our favorite game, or, oh, they got bigger, so the game is now totally different when you get to chapter 3, and it's not the stuff I originally liked or what was really about. So, we could keep pushing forward on making this bigger and grander, and there's definitely upscale. There's definitely going to be upscale. It's going to be really exciting. There's so much to it, but making sure we keep the heart of what was really the intent, what we were trying to do, what people love so much, and the characters and the stories and the environments. And so, we don't want to release until we know it's exactly the right thing to do. And we look at it and we're like, yes, they're going to love this.
That makes perfect sense. And I mean, you guys are doing a few other things in the interim as well. I understand that you've got, obviously there's a big website that's launched for Bendy. There's some merch stuff going on. I don't know if you can talk about that in detail, but I'm really curious if you can.
Yeah, we could talk about that. I mean, man, between theMeatly and I, so theMeatly and I are basically the CEOs of theMeatly Games. And by CEO, I do not mean Chief Executive Officer. I mean Chief Everything Officer. We have to deal with lawyers, accountants, and all kinds of different business deals. There's tons of people that we've talked to that I can't even say who we talked to. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? So we could talk about the merch a little bit. So what I can say is that so we will have merch, T-shirts and buttons and stickers and all that stuff available in Hot Topic really soon.
Wow, that's cool. That's very mainstream.
To the point where like as I speak, it's like in production, like it's being made right now.
Wow.
So it's very, very, very soon, as well as our online store, which will be like the official Bendy and the Ink Machine merchandise store. Nice. We're not going to be using like a third-party outlet or anything like that. So that's all coming. However, I can already see it in the chat, and I know it's everybody wants to know, what about the plush? What about the plush?
That's all we want.
Yeah, I know. So what I will say is making a T-shirt or a sticker or a button or anything like that, like that's just like a process, right? Where you take a design and you have a good manufacturer that can just print it all out and it's ready to go. Plushes, and I'm sure people have seen a lot of the, somebody said it right in the chat right now, a lot of the fans are making their own, right? So those people will know that this is a process. This is an art form. It's not something you can just beep, boop, 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 there's your plush. It just doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah.
So we have plush ready, like concepts, right? We are going to make them. It's just going to take some time. It will happen, absolutely. I'm not saying any dates whatsoever. But
take that right off the table.
We're working on it right now, so it is a thing that's happening.
Well, I think that makes most of the fans happy to hear that you know that the demand is there. I respect you guys for doing it the right way. I've done lots of rush to merch market stuff, and it's not pretty.
We don't want to do that.
And I guess
if we wanted to, we could. We could just do everything, right? Like you name it, we can just do it. but it doesn't work well when you do that, and it ends up not being good quality. It just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And we want our fans to have good products, right? Like if they want a plush, we don't want to just give them some crummy plush. We want the actual plush, like the definitive plush.
That
So
we'll cherish forever, right?
exactly,
Yes.
right? We're taking our time on this, and we're doing it properly so that the fans get what they really want.
Awesome. And I think that the fans will be well served for the wait. This is an indie studio, so just to remind everyone, in case you're tuning in now and it sounds like this is something else. I mean, it takes time to do things properly, and when there's
I
few
want
people
one too.
involved,
I absolutely want a plush. Like, you have no idea how bad I want one, but so I'm a fan as well. I mean,
I'm sure that's why you don't see anything in the background of this video chat right now. These guys are working on their awesome merch, and we'll come back and see it later. I guess picking up on this whole crazy success of the game, though, is this something that you guys have ever experienced before? Like, it sounds, and forgive me if it's just because you interview well, but it does sound like you're pretty calm and experienced, and you kind of have a big plan, and things are just rolling along. But is this the first time you guys have ever had a game kind of blow up with sort of fan interest this way, or is this something that you guys are used to?
This is totally new. This is a whole new experience. I had some following by game development comics, but I mean, just a few thousand people, and that built that up over several years. BENDY dwarfed that in 2 days. Yeah. And that was the end of it. I remember we posted the game, and then suddenly I went to bed, and my phone just started buzzing and buzzing and buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. I turned off all my notifications. I had to. I just now do it manually every single day for several hours to make sure I can see everybody and see what's going on and go and talk to people. But if I leave it on, my phone will just keep dying over and over again. But I have never, I don't know about Mike, unless he has some huge giant success in the clause I don't know about. This is totally new. We don't know what we're doing. We're not, we're not seasoned business people. We're not, we're developers been doing this for years and years. We're just playing by ear, seeing what we think people would like, and just doing our best to deliver it. So,
yeah, so I don't have experience with a lot of this stuff. So I actually have a talk that I'm going to be giving in like 2 weeks' time that will be recorded and put on YouTube and all that people will be able to check out. And a lot of it is kind of about this. So I don't have a background in any of this stuff. However, I have experience running businesses and organizations, all startups. I run a Ottawa Game Jam, which is a big game jam. This is our 3rd year. That's happening this weekend.
Nice.
So I'm I know how to get sponsors. I know all about that stuff. As well as my wife Jillian, she's the queen of all that stuff.
That's right.
She's been in the industry a while. But for this company, for like theMeatly Games, completely new. Like we're dealing with industries we've never even thought of, like the merchandising industry. Never even it wasn't even a thing we knew about. Running the business in general, like dealing with trademark laws and all that. Like this is all new to us. And it's time consuming. It's extremely time consuming to learn all of this while having to make the game at the same time. It's tough. We were not ready for this whatsoever. But I mean, it's fun. It's our job. We love it.
Good problem to have,
It really is. It's hard to complain when I'm like, I got to talk to 2 different law firms and 3 accountants and dealing with these guys and talking with a whole bunch of people that it's like a dream come true for me to even speak to them. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's happening, but like they're all problems because I have no idea what I'm doing, but they're good problems because the end result is, we're making a cool game.
Totally.
Yeah, it's really, just to give everyone a little insight what my usual day is like. I mean, I get up 7 a.m. I look at my phone. I have 1 billion notifications. My Twitter's at 99 plus all the time. It's just the way it goes through. I'm like, well, here we go. And I dive in for about an hour and just kind of catch up, talking to people, see what's going on with them. I Google into BENDY the Ink Machine, see what's going on. There's new community stuff out there I don't know about. And so then after that's kind of somewhere, because it just keeps building no matter what I do, I go and I work on some of my YouTube channel, because I know I've got some more videos of that I keep doing all the time, trying to work on a little bit of those at a time. So I actually put some stuff out and talk to the fans directly. After that, then we go into the some of the business stuff. Me and Mike usually meet for a while, talk about all the things that we have to do today, and it's already noon. And then we start doing, and I start doing some game development. I start, working a list
then
of
the game development.
Game development starts about that point. So I have about I don't know, 8 working lists all the time, because I'm also working with, the team, giving them tasks, working with them back and forth, and talking with Mike and how systems will work back and forth. And on top of that, then we go and do the next step, which is, kind of meet again after I worked on some textures and some modeling for a while and kind of get some things down. They go and meet the voice actors after that. So it keeps going. Then when it's all done, I sit down on the couch, take out my phone, and talk for 2 more hours on Twitter to a bunch of more people to finish out the day. So it's something I never thought was going to ever be a thing in my life, and it's incredible. It's just amazing that people care what I think, and then I enjoy what we're making. So,
well, that's got to make it worthwhile to, as tired and exhausting as that day sounds for both of you. It must make it worthwhile to know that there's such a heavy fan contingent. I mean, I'm not even going to bother listening to accounts. Honestly, if you guys want to see some of the fan art for this game, it's through the roof incredible in terms of the creativity and the quality and the breadth and the global nature of it. Like, it's just all over the world. So if you Google BATIM, which is sort of the hashtag for the game, or Bendy and the Ink Machine, plenty will pop up. Have you guys seen anything that's really like off the wall, I guess, amazing or off the wall bizarre? Or
oh gosh, yes.
What's some of your favorite sort of fan reactions to the game?
Oh gosh, there is so many things. I mean, I constantly jump around different websites all the time. I mean, I spend some time on DeviantArt, just what's going on with Bendy today, just see what people are doing. I know people, the original characters they kind of like putting up. They have just incredible, beautifully crafted fan art of Bendy, and it's so weird to see that. Oh, they took my character and saw this, and it was like, oh, that's so cool. Obviously, then there's the songs out there on YouTube that are just, I mean, we all know, DA Games and all the good stuff.
So cute.
We're good friends with him now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So great. I mean, just it's so flattering. It's so amazing all at the same time that they see a lot of things in the characters that we see too, and it's just cool that there's that connection. So I mean, there are some crazy reactions when I know when we sat down after say chapter 2 was released, we watched the videos for a while.
Oh yeah.
I think me and Mike were watching the same one at that point, and there's the part where I don't want to do any spoilers. I'm just not going to say it, but something happens right at the end. That's a big surprise, and this girl we were both watching, she jumped out of her chair, screams around the room. A couple times I saw another guy pick up his chair and like break something behind him at that point. Yeah.
And you're just like, yes, that's what I was going for.
There's so many good videos, and I wish we could watch them all, but I posted on Twitter last week just to know. So like, how can somebody crunch the numbers for me? And basically there were 1.2 million YouTube videos about Bendy, and it would take you 28 years to watch them all. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to watch all of the videos.
You have to hire someone to do that.
Yeah.
That's a full-time job. Wow, that's
insane,
impressive. Right? I think the coolest stuff that I've seen are some of the cosplay too. Like that, to me, as like I'm like kind of an anime fan at heart. So to me, like, justice is when you see someone dressing up as a character in your game. You're like,
I was not expecting that one bit. I mean, people are dressing up as like Alice Angel. They're dressing up as Bendy. They're dressing up as Bendy with the tutu on. Like, it's crazy. Like, so cool. I was not expecting that whatsoever. The amount of like fan stuff going on is crazy. Like, it's almost to the point where, like, if you search Bendy and the Ink Machine on Google and you go to images, you can't find any of the original stuff.
We had a bit of trouble when we were setting up for this broadcast. I got it, but that's sort of proof, I think, to I guess, both obviously the quality of the game and the fact that it appeals, but the fact that also as an indie game you can break through that marketing glass ceiling or whatever you want to call it, and get through to people. Like, you really can. It's about having sort of the IP and sort of the creative property that people crave and people gravitate towards. And theMeatly said it very well. We recognized that we needed something cute, and that it worked with the aesthetic. Has anyone ever cosplayed theMeatly? Other than, of course,
I haven't seen
himself.
that one yet. I'm waiting to see the first Meatly cosplay. I mean, I know it's coming. I know someone was doing Sammy Lawrence the other day. I saw on Twitter, and they were out like at a mall somewhere. And I'm like, you are going to get arrested. Thank you for the promotion. But be careful, please.
Cosplay carefully, children. Yes, please. That's hilarious. Oh man. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk about this today. A lot of really fascinating stuff that I would not have known otherwise. Obviously, Chapter 3 we're going to have to wait for, but Chapter 2 is available right now. So if you are curious about the game and you haven't played it, try Chapter 1. I think you'll get a very quick indication of what the game is about and why people like it so much. And then you can go on to chapter 2, which I'm sort of excited to go replay, actually. I will not be streaming it because there's too many things that you don't want spoiled.
Hey, I will say though that for people who have played chapter 1, we are doing updates. So within the next
nice. Okay.
couple of months, there will be a really good update. And that's it's completely free. Chapter 1 will always be free.
Awesome.
And then chapter 2, we are also doing an update to that chapter as well, which you will definitely want to play it again. And if you're on the fence about even getting chapter 2, I understand that there's a cost involved with our chapters. Just know that when the update comes, it's definitely going to be a big update, and it's free. The update just comes with it, right? It's not like it's an additional add-on or anything.
That's exciting that you guys are doing that, especially because it's a kind of game where you may want to go back and revisit it after a while.
Yeah, and I mean, I
fun.
can say that because we have so many ideas with this game, that the franchise of Bendy and the Ink Machine, by the time we get to chapter 5, I'm not ruling out the fact that we will update chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, right?
That's really cool.
So it's not like we're chapter 1's not done. That's what I'll say. There's still more that we want to do. We just have not had the time to do it.
Understandable. Very understandable given everything that you listed that's on your plate. I guess let's sort of end the interview. I sort of asked you this, guys, in private, but maybe you thought of a good answer to share. But I'm curious, working together now, and since you have plans to keep working together forever, it sounds like. Mike, is there anything that you find sort of interesting about working with theMeatly? Maybe the best thing about working with, obviously someone who's a puppet. And has a persona that, again, is sort of attached to game dev life and some of the frustrations around game dev life. What's it like working with a partner like that?
So it's enjoyable for me to work with him as this, theMeatly as the puppet. It's interesting, right? People sometimes think I'm theMeatly, and it's like, I'm not.
We're different people.
You wish.
Yeah,
this
exactly,
interview
right?
proves it, kind of.
We're completely two different people, right? I mean, I'm a human and he's a puppet, so there's different.
Obviously, different.
But in terms of actually working with theMeatly, it's fantastic. TheMeatly is like a creative genius. He can take a simple idea and just turn it into gold somehow, and I don't know how he does it. And what's great with this relationship business wise is that the marriage is perfect, where he can have this idea and it's just amazing, but he thinks it's probably too crazy to actually do, right?
To execute, yeah.
Usually it almost is. It's like borderline, whoa, that's a little nuts. But I'm usually able to at least prototype and make it a reality. So it's a really good relationship where we can do that. But I mean, anything that theMeatly touches, for whatever reason, just turns to gold, because his creative genius is just amazing. And I'll tell you, there's other games that we've worked on. There's games that we want to make after Bendy and the Ink Machine that are it's awesome. And I can't wait to get started on those, because his storytelling, all that. I mean, I could go on and on about how awesome theMeatly is.
Well, that's why we're excited that theMeatly Studios is a thing. I mean, the comics were very cool. theMeatly, don't get me wrong, that was my first, introduction to you, and I thought they were brilliant. But it's much more exciting now to see that, you've left day job and now onto passion job, and that you can sort of funnel your energy to work with people like Mike and all the other experts that you guys have gathered on your team. I guess for theMeatly, I am curious if Mike's ever been in one of your comics, or maybe inspired one. Maybe not about frustration, but
oh yeah.
Yeah. How much of your sort of theMeatly Studios stuff makes it into your comics?
That's he's definitely made it in one form or another. I mean, Mike is very, very different than a lot of programmers I spend time talking to, because he understands the artistic side and he understands what we're trying to do. When I come up with this crazy, it's gonna be great, just trust me, and he has to reinterpret that. His genius is just taking it and actually making it work in ways I couldn't even dream to actually would make sense. And there was one comic in particular where I show a game development artist and a programmer, And they both, hey, you're a programmer, I'm an artist, we should work together, make a great game. And the next panel is them fighting like 3 hours later. What's the gameplay going to be? No, what's the story going to be? And then we'll make the gameplay based on that. Now, that kind of came from a conversation between Mike, one of our very earliest ones too. We were trying to figure out what of our gameplay things is going to be. I'm like, well, what's the characters doing? How would that fit into how they react? And he's like, doesn't really matter. We'll fit a story around that. So he has definitely made it into comics, but that said, I got to repay him the same compliment, though. I mean, in his own way, his skills are mind-blowing. I can't even fathom what he does at this point because it's so incredible, and everything I think is just too much. He's something like, nope, no problem. That'll be like done in 5 minutes. Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we never say no. We never say no.
We never say no, but just so much fun to work with.
I was gonna say, you get great things coming out of it, so you guys must be doing something right. The symbiosis really sounds like it's there. Just talking to you both, it's fun to hear you riff off each other. I can see how you guys would be able to make great games together. Well, again, thank you so much for spending the time with us today at Game Dev Cafe. I really appreciate theMeatly, you making it out, and Mike, of course, giving up some time. We will be sure to post this afterwards for anyone who is either tuning in late or missed this for any reason. You'll be able to go to gamedevcafe.com. We've got a few other questions that we asked Mike and theMeatly earlier about the game that are just some of your more fundamental stuff. And obviously, we'll link up where you can actually go play Chapter 1, where you can pick up Chapter 2. We'll link you to their merch page, all that good stuff. I guess, Mike, theMeatly, is there anything that you want to leave your fans with? I know a lot of people tuning in on Twitch right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Any last words or final parting thoughts?
Well, I can say is it's going to be worth the wait.
Yeah. If we did not have the fans, Chapter 3 wouldn't be as awesome as it's going to be. I mean, we'll keep it at that.
I think that's fair. That's a good lesson for all the fans out there too. If you guys really love something, support it, show the support. This gets back to the devs. There's no question. I talk to devs all day, every day, and this is a particularly awesome example of sort of a fan community. But like yourselves, most devs do go online. They look for the comments, and I think from what you guys have told us today, it's a really great feeling when you know people love what you're making and want you to keep making it, even if it's a lot of work.
100%.
Speaking of which, I got to get back to it.
Absolutely.
Got to Chapter 3 right now.
Fantastic. I will let you guys go. But again, thanks so much for tuning in. And everyone who tuned in to watch this, thanks again. We will be back later with more from Game Dev Cafe. Go check out BENDY the Ink Machine from theMeatly Studios. We've been talking with theMeatly and Mike Mood on GameDevCafe.com.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.